chance to meet you. My name is Laura, and I'm the pastor of spiritual formation here at Salem Alliance, and I get to bring the message this morning. And first of all, I just want to congratulate you. You survived the storm of 2019. You're here. Well done. And true confession, I survived it in a different way. My husband and I just got back from celebrating our 27th wedding anniversary. Yep, and thank you. So I spent the storm weeks laying in the sun, and of course I thought of you, I worried about you, I prayed for you as you endured the harsh weather. No, I didn't. I'm not that nice. Not at all. This morning I'm going to start with a couple of questions for you to consider to get us thinking about today's topic. So, first question is this: are there people or circumstances in your life that cause you to instantly be defensive or incredibly irritated? Please don't answer out loud. In your heads, thinking. Defense mechanisms that rise up, irritability. Second question: do you notice that your self-talk is incredibly mean and you don't know how to stop it? Or are there behaviors in your life that are destructive, like over-shopping, overeating, sexually acting out? Last question: do you have bouts of emotional pain that you can't explain, like depression, anxiety, anger outbursts? I'm guessing that all of us can answer yes to at least one of these questions. And here's why I'm asking: because the things I just described could be possible symptoms of unaddressed pain in our lives, the unhealed wounds of the past experiences that are still causing us pain today, that either we're aware of or possibly not aware of. These are some of the symptoms, and we've all got them. The unhealed wounds of our past, from the things we would call small, the everyday bumps and bruises of life, just being a human, all the way to the truly ungodly acts of abuse that have happened to some of us. We all have unhealed wounds of the past. And in this series, Thrive, Unleashing the Soul, we're asking the question: what does it look like to have a healthy, growing, deepening, maturing soul that's alive in God? And what are some of the things that get in the way of that? What are the things that we might call are causing FTT, failure to thrive? Now, conventional wisdom tells us that when you and I sustain an injury to our physical bodies, we typically know what to do with it or who to go to for care. The broken bone gets set by the doctor. A bad burn, we get advice for how to treat it so it will heal. The deep cut gets stitches. We know what happens if a wound goes unaddressed, and we don't just hope that the bone heals itself. But what about our emotional wounds? What happens when they go untreated? And often they do, because we don't know how or who to go to ask for help. We don't address them, so quite often we suppress them. Author Richard Rohr puts it this way: if we cannot find a way to make our wounds into sacred wounds, we invariably become cynical, negative, or bitter. If we do not transform our pain, we will most assuredly transmit it, usually to those closest to us, our family, our neighbors, our coworkers, and invariably the most vulnerable, our children. If we do not transform our pain, we will transmit it or share it with others. I want us to notice a connection here. In this series, 2 weeks ago, Rob Basham talked about family sin patterns, the things that are passed down to us that we continue to pass on if unaddressed. Can you see the connection here? Our untransformed pain is the stuff of family sin patterns, the stuff that we will pass on to our kids. So we get to ask the question that Rob asked 2 weeks ago: how do we go back in order to go forward? How do we go back to the unhealed wounds of our past so that we can go forward and thrive? And so, to begin to unpack that question, to help us understand why we would go back and how we would go back, I want to talk about 3 biblical principles. And the first one we find in a story. It's the story of Abraham and Sarah in Genesis 16. I'm going to just tell a bit of the story, and then I'll put some of it on screen. And it goes like this. Abraham and Sarah have been given a promise that they are going to have many descendants. Abraham, you will be the father of many nations. But we have a problem. Sarah can't have children. They have tried. And so she takes matters into her own hands. She has a servant girl named Hagar, who she gives to Abraham to have a child for them. As you can imagine, this situation, this arrangement causes incredible tension in the home between Sarah and Hagar, which results in Hagar running away. We read in the text that the angel of the Lord found Hagar beside a spring of water in the wilderness. Notice that phrase, the angel of the Lord found her. They have a conversation in which Hagar receives comfort, guidance, and a promise. And here's how she responds. Therefore, Hagar used another name to refer to the Lord who had spoken to her. She said, "You are the God who sees me." The first biblical principle that I want to speak to us today is this, that one of God's names is El Roi. It's the Hebrew for those words. You are the God who sees me. In my worst moments of pain, you found me in the wilderness. And you interacted with me. You comforted me. You guided me and gave me a promise. El Roi is one of God's names. Here's what God says about what he sees. Jeremiah 23. Am I a God who is only close at hand? No, I am far away at the same time. Can anyone hide from me in a secret place? Am I not everywhere in all the heavens and the earth? I am the God who sees you. I see you close up. I come near to you, Hagar. I am the God who sees from afar all things. Nothing can hide from me. This is how God sees. I want us to notice two theological principles in these two texts. One is omnipresence, and the other is immanence. Simply put, God is everywhere present with his whole being at all times, and he is present and actively participating. Can you see those two theological concepts in the two passages we just talked about? Let's look at Jeremiah 23 again. Can anyone hide from me in a secret place? I am everywhere in all the heavens and the earth. That is his omnipresence. His immanence, actively participating in the life of Hagar in a moment of deep pain. Here's why I want to point these things out. As we consider, might we go back to the pain of the past in order to go forward and thrive? As we do, we need to know we are not alone in the going back. God was there. He is there. He is with us in that moment. He saw everything. Whether it was the bumps and bruises of life that have caused us little nicks and dings, or the big, huge moment of abuse that has devastated us, God has seen it all. He knows about it. He is with us as we go back in order to ask for his healing touch. We need to know that we're not alone. Another thing that's helpful for us to know as we consider, will I go back to the pain of my past, is this. What are the origins of my pain, of the symptoms that I'm living with right now, and why does this pain stick to me? So biblical principle number 2 is this. The enemy of your soul is a thief and a liar. It is his mission to kill, steal, and destroy. And here's the deal. Here's how he works. He capitalizes on our moments of pain to do his best work of lying to us. When we are most vulnerable, afraid, embarrassed, lonely, that's when he takes the opportunity to lie to us. This is how it can look. Here's an example. A workaholic parent, maybe a parent who took very good care of you but wasn't very present. We might write that off as no big deal. The enemy might see that as opportunity to speak some lies to us, like, you are not worthy of attention. You are unseen. And he even goes so far as to help us to project onto God these very lies. Like, oh, God's too busy for me. God doesn't see me. I'm not worth God's attention. He capitalizes on our moments of pain to lie to us. Another example. Grade school, the bully on the playground who pushed you around emotionally, verbally, physically. We might say, that happens to a lot of people. It's no big deal. It's just a moment, move on. The enemy might see that moment as an opportunity to make it a defining moment in our lives in which we're still experiencing symptoms from, to lie to us and say, you are weak, you are defenseless, nobody likes you, suck it up, toughen up, fight back. These are the lies of the enemy. He capitalizes on those moments in our lives. Now, I want to pause for just a moment and talk to just the men and the boys in the room. And I acknowledge that I'm not a man, but I live with one, I raised one, and I grew up with a couple. So, have some thoughts. I just spoke one of the lies of the enemy: suck it up, toughen up, push through the pain. I want to say, guys, this is a lie that you carry heavily on your shoulders. You've been spoken this over and over again. Real men don't cry. Just push through, don't look back. We say this to you in so many ways. Societally, the way we've raised our kids, the way we talk to each other. And I just want to say, it's too heavy of a burden, and I don't think it's the place where a soul thrives. And I'll just talk about my own home and my own experience, and my husband gave me permission to do so. I've been married to Nate, like I said, for 27 years. He is one of the biggest, toughest, strongest, coolest guys that I know, and I might be biased, but, and he has lived in this way for many years. The suck it up has been his way of doing life. And just in recent years, he's realized he doesn't want to live that way anymore and begun to notice the symptoms of pain in his life and begun to do the hard work of going back so that he can go forward. And I'll just say, he is cooler and stronger than he's ever been. And I get to watch my husband thrive in ways that he's never thrived. And my kids, who are now 20 and 22, get to be a part of this journey with their dad and their mom as we continue to ask God to heal our souls. Guys, it's okay to go back to pain so that you can thrive. And the message that you just have to suck it up, I think that's a lie that you hear from all directions. So, men and women, Jesus said in John 10:10, the thief's purpose is to steal, kill, and destroy. But my purpose, Jesus said, is to give them a rich and satisfying life. So, our third biblical principle is this: Jesus transforms pain. It is God's mission to comfort, to free, to heal, and to make whole. That's what he does. One of my favorite stories of Jesus is found in Luke chapter 4, the beginning of his ministry life. He comes to the synagogue on the Sabbath, and he is handed the scroll of Isaiah. He looks for the portion that he's going to read, and he reads words from what we now call Isaiah 61. Here's what he reads aloud. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted and to proclaim that captives will be released and prisoners will be freed. He rolls up the scroll, hands it back, sits down. All eyes are on him. And he says, today in your presence, this is fulfilled. This is me. This is what I do. I heal broken hearts. I free the captives. And he did just that. Everyone he came in contact with, he brought something back to life in them. He healed their FTT in some way with a touch, with a word, with his presence. This is what Jesus does. We came to receive communion this morning to remember his death. His death made provision for our healing. The prophet Isaiah says it this way in chapter 53. It It was our weakness he carried, our sorrows that weighed him down. He was beaten so we could be whole. He was whipped so we could be healed. Jesus transforms pain. Author Rob Reamer puts it this way: it is important for us to believe that God can redeem the pain in our life. Not that God sent it, but that God can redeem it. He turns the arrows of the enemy meant to destroy us into the scalpels of the great physician meant to heal us. What do we do with our unhealed emotional pain? Who do we go to? The great physician, who is El Roi, the God who sees me, who has heard the lies of the enemy spoken into my life and wants to heal those places. The next question then logically is, so how? How do I receive this kind of healing? How does God help me to go back to the pain of the past so I can go forward and thrive? First thing I'd say to us is we get to do some soul work or self-awareness work. We get to be people who ask regular and honest questions of ourselves, of the people in our lives. What are the symptoms that could indicate that I have pain that's been unhealed? What are the symptoms that I'm living with that maybe I'm just so used to, I don't even know that that's pain? Questions like, so when I get defensive and irritable, is there a pattern? What's triggering that? Or the self-talk that's so mean, who might have said that to me at some point in my past? Or I seem to be most tempted to overeat, to sexually act out when, and then I'm looking for patterns. Or could my struggle with depression be connected to a childhood wound that I haven't been willing or able to go back to? These are the questions of self-awareness, the soul work. We get to notice the symptoms, just like we would when we go to a doctor. We come and we go, well, I've got a headache and this hurts here and I'm not sure what's going on. We get to go to God and say, man, I'm anxious. Man, I'm troubled. Man, I can't quit this habit. This is the symptoms that I'm experiencing. Would you help me, great physician? So today, I want to teach us a prayer practice that has 4 steps to it that you get to take home with you and practice in your own life. And it's a very practical way of inviting God to go back with us to the pain of our past and bring healing to those places. The steps are going to be on the screen. You're welcome to take notes to take them with you. You can take pictures of the screen. They're also available on Facebook. But I'm just going to walk us through these 4 steps and then just share a little bit of my own personal journey with them. So the first step is we go to God in prayer and we say, here are my symptoms. How do you want to heal? We get to ask God to help reveal the origins of the wounding. Jesus, would you take me back to where all this began? Sometimes we know exactly where it all started. Sometimes we don't. But we get to ask the one who sees it all. Nothing is hidden from him, and he's way smarter than we are. He knows, just like a good doctor, where those symptoms might be coming from. And so as we ask him this question, we just get to pay attention to the first memory that comes to mind. God, would you reveal to me the origins of this wounding? And just wait, listen. What memory comes to mind? So, an example from my own life. Just last week, I noticed some symptoms cropping up in me. And so I thought, I'll use this prayer practice and see what God has to say. And the symptoms were some anxiety. My stomach kind of tightens up. My chest gets a little heavy. I didn't know why. And then the other symptom was some resentment that I was noticing that I was having a really hard time letting go of. So I just went to God. Okay, here are my symptoms. What is the origin of this? And the memory he brought to mind made no sense to me. But I've learned to kind of go with that and just kind of trust. And so the memory that came to mind was actually in my childhood home in our living room. It's the piano that I sat at for hours and hours practicing. And I thought, well, that does not make sense. Come on, let's come up with a different memory, because that's actually a good memory for me. It's a positive place as I go back to it. But, okay, let's go with it. I've learned to trust. When I ask God to bring a memory, there's probably a reason he brings it to mind. So, second step in this prayer process, ask God to communicate with you about his presence. This is why we talked about omnipresence and immanence. God is there in that memory. He was there. So when we go back to it, when he brings it to mind, we get to ask him, where were you? What does it look like in my memory that you were present with me? And when we ask him that question, often he'll bring a picture to mind of maybe Father God standing right behind you in that painful moment. Or maybe the friend, a God who is like a friend and a brother sitting right next to you. Or maybe it's Jesus in the crowd seeing everything that happened in that memory. God, show me your presence. What were you doing when the wounding event took place, and how were you feeling when it happened? That last question can be really powerful. So we get a picture of God's presence in that memory, and then we look in his face. How were you feeling? And often we'll see a look of concern and compassion. Or often we'll just see how much he cares about us and loves us. Sometimes in those really deep places and memories of pain, we'll see deep sorrow in his face. And some of you need to know that you might see anger in his face, God's righteous anger. Some of you have been abused in ways that are just absolutely evil and not okay, and God gets really mad when those things happen. So when we ask him, how were you feeling in that wounding event? Sometimes we will see his deep sorrow and his righteous anger. It's important for us to see that God was there, he saw what happened, and he felt it with us. God, show me your presence in this event. Now, for me, the memory God brought to me is just that everyday, ordinary bumps and bruises of life type of memory. And so I ask God, okay, I'm sitting at the piano bench, show me your presence, and I just see a picture of Jesus come right next to me and sit on the bench. Just a simple, comforting, friendly picture. Third step in this prayer process, ask God to communicate with you about what you came to believe. Remember, the enemy capitalizes on our pain to tell us lies. When we're in pain, we're embarrassed, we're fearful. So we get to ask God, would you shed light on the things that I have come to believe that are not true about you or about me? And God is so smart and knows things that we don't. Some of the stuff that has gone under the radar for years, we don't even realize we're living under a lie. That God doesn't see me. You're too busy for me. I deserved this. I do have to toughen up and suck it up. God, would you show me the lies I came to believe in this memory? Because you know it better than I do. So I'm sitting next to Jesus on the piano bench, and I go, okay, I don't get this memory, but fine. Is there a lie I came to believe in this memory? And as I began to reflect and just listen and wait on the Lord, I recalled the hours and hours where I just kept trying to get it perfect. And you just keep practicing, because then it's going to get better and better. And play that song again, because there's more. And yeah, that's the way you should practice the piano. And yet it fed a lie in me that it's never enough and you've always got to work harder. Now, this goes back to my core identity lie that we talked about a couple weeks ago. You might be able to guess what it is. Mine is performance. I'm only valuable and worth it if I do stuff and I do it really well. So it was really helpful. I went, oh, this is now making sense. This memory that you brought to mind for me, I absorbed some things in childhood that have fed that lie. Now, for me, it wasn't my parents shoving me in the practice room and saying, don't come out until it's perfect. It was just, I wanted to be there. It was just ordinary life where I had absorbed some of the lies of the enemy, and I still have symptoms in my life today. I still think I got to keep working harder, and it's not ever quite good enough. Okay, God, that makes sense. What is the lie that I came to believe about you or about me? And then you can guess the fourth step in this practice. Ask God to speak his truth. He is the truth and the light. And so, Jesus, what do you want to say to me about who you really are, about who I really am? Give him a chance to respond. And listen, I am the God who sees you. I love spending time with you. I am your defender. I am your comforter. And as I ask Jesus this question, what do you want to say to me? He's sitting right next to me on the piano bench, and I see him lean over and say, I enjoy you, period. I enjoy you. Before you perfect anything or do anything well or practice more, I enjoy you. That's what I needed to hear from my Father God, from my Creator. I needed to hear that. And then I'm fairly imaginative, so the picture got painted even further of Jesus and I on the piano bench, just playing together and having fun, enjoying music, filling my childhood home with songs of joy. It was a healing moment to sit with God in a memory that I didn't even know I needed to sit with, but I had symptoms of anxiety and resentment that the great physician knew what to do with. It's a prayer practice that you can take with you for the stuff of everyday life and the big stuff that continues to hang on us and weigh us down. In my role here at Salem Alliance, I get to work with a team that's called the Healing Prayer Team, and it's a team of adults who meet regularly. We pray, we study, and then we make appointments with others who are seeking healing in their lives. And we use this prayer practice often with people to listen to God with them. And one of the women who came to us for prayer, I asked her if she would be willing to write some of her testimony, and she courageously did. So here's what Jerry writes. To say I struggled with low self-worth and my own value would be a gross understatement. As a young girl, I endured a great deal of sexual trauma and abuse that was perpetuated throughout my childhood and into my early years as an adult. Those experiences caused deep pain and insecurities that shaped my identity and later led to a pattern of destructive behaviors. Even though I attended church and accepted Christ in grade school, I still believed there was something bad about me, and I couldn't imagine that God or others could see anything different than what I saw. Thankfully, I was blessed with a very wise mentor, and she could see that I needed some serious inner healing in this area. After many attempts to convince me to call and ask about healing prayer, she literally pushed me into Laura before church and made me tell her I needed an appointment. What I learned through the time with my healing prayer team was that I had adopted an identity that wasn't consistent with how God saw me. It was through prayer that God exposed my faulty beliefs. One of the women who was listening and praying with me asked me to renounce my old false identity and ask God to give me a new name. As I sat there praying and listening, I instantly heard the words, pure in heart. I immediately pushed them away, trying intently to listen to what God was saying to me. Again, I heard those same words, and again I pushed them away. I heard them over and over until I could no longer quiet the voice. God revealed that he wasn't giving me a new identity. He was healing my brokenness and showing me the very identity he created me in me at birth. He was reminding me that this is who I had always been and asking me to live as if I believed it. He was restoring me. For me, this has been life-altering, and since that experience, the way I think has completely changed. God has shown me that even though I can't go back and change what had happened, I don't have to carry the weight of it into my future. Jesus transforms pain. So today, with the rest of our time, Natalie and the team, they're going to come out and we're going to sing. In a moment, we're going to sing, Here's My Heart, Lord, Speak What Is True. And before we do, I'd love to just lead us through this prayer process. Even though it takes more time than we have, let's get the conversation started, okay? So I'm just going to ask God the questions as we go through and leave just a little bit of space for you to listen and wait, and then we'll sing this song together. Would you pray with me? So, great physician, we come to you. And first of all, we would ask that you would help us to see the symptoms of unhealed pain in our lives. Would you show us as we wait on you this morning. And as we bring our places of pain to you, big and small, would you begin to show us the origins of those wounds? Would you bring memories to mind that you know that we need to go back to? Today, tomorrow, the rest of the week. And in those memories, would you show us your presence, that you are there, you were there? Would you show us your face? How are you feeling? You saw it all, you heard it all, and so you know the lies that we've been living under. Would you begin to expose them, shed light? And you, Jesus, are the truth. You're the way, the truth, and the life. So we say, here are our hearts. Would you speak what is true?